So, this last week, some new things popped up, as I'm sure all of you realize. One of them that popped up, though, was about the state of Oregon and the state of California pushing for the non-binary identifier on state IDs. I was, when I first saw it, I thought, okay, that's a pretty cool idea. Because, yeah, why not? That's basically what I was thinking. Then I did a little thinking about it, and the issue I have with this is it kind of perpetuates, shall we say, the rules and limits upon people's self-expression. Allow me to go into detail with that. Say, I get jury duty or something like that, and I show up dressed like how I like to dress, which is androgynous, and I should be able to do that. It's a civic duty that I'm supposed to have to do, and I should be able to wear within taste anything I'd like to wear. I've seen the dress code for jury service, and it says, you're to dress in accordance with your gender. It says something along those lines. Now, if I were to show up wearing a skirt, according to gender rules, I would be considered to be outside of the appropriate clothing for my gender, because I'm male. The non-binary identifier on a state ID would, of course, well, first of all, how do non-binaries dress according to social rules? They can dress however they want, I think. I guess maybe they can wear, from the male aisle or for the female aisle. What I'm thinking this will do, though, or what this non-binary identifier will lead to, is people like myself who do not wish to change my gender identity. My gender identity is male, and I don't wish to change that. My goal is basically to eliminate or reduce those gender rules that are placed upon us upon our birth. In other words, rules about what car we can drive, what job we can do, what clothing we can wear, what hairstyle we can have, all based on the biological sex that a doctor determined when we were born. I would think that the non-binary identifier on a ID would complicate this wanting to get away from putting IDs or putting gender on things. I'm not against the idea. I'm just thinking this is going to cause. I think this might cause some problems. Problems for people like myself. And yes, I know I'm rare, so don't adjust things just for the small percentage of people, which I think is a really screwed up attitude that I've seen some people say. Gender ID, or having the gender ID on your driver's license or your state ID also could lead to other things, such as employers discriminating. When they look at your resume and you put that, and when they look at your job application or your resume and they see non-binary, there's nothing in the world that would stop them from round filing your application. They would see, oh, non-binary, well, here's something else about non-binary. My experience with people who identify as non-binary is really easy to set off. A small minority within that minority is easy to set off, I should say, because, of course, not all people who identify as non-binary are easy to set off. But employers would look at this and say, you know, if I hire this person, what's the chances of them trying to sue me for whatever? And I know that may sound really screwed up, but that is how employers are. So it's like it could open an avenue for discrimination. So that's basically my feelings. That's how I think when it comes to these this ID, gender ID, and making a new gender ID for a certain group of people. Please, in the comments, please put down how you feel about it. If you agree with what I say, if you don't, or if you see some agreement in what I say, but point out where am I wrong, or if I'm right. I know this is kind of a ambiguous video, and I kind of rambled on, but it's a hard one to talk because I don't want people thinking I'm against the idea, because I'm not. I just have concerns when it comes to it. Like I said, I personally do not want to change my gender ID. I want to have freedom when it comes to self-expression, and there are some things I just don't think there should be gender applied to. And you know, once again, it's such a superficial thing, and yet it's so very important to others to control. And this non-binary ID might lead to even more reinforcement of that. Amber is actually off the camera. She's behind me. By the way, I have a new camera, so we're trying to set up a better framing of things. Usually I'm sitting at my computer with the camera sitting on top of a box, but my old camera decided to jettison its batteries because the little catch on the plastic cover broke. So Amber right now is behind the camera, and but I'd like her input as usual on this matter. So here's Amber.
Okay. Okay, so about this issue, again, I agree with you that when it comes to not being against it, I think on a surface level it's like, okay, you know, it's not a bad thing, and I think a lot of people are taken up by that, and they're like, okay, well, anyone opposed to this would be like some kind of hateful person.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some concerns surrounding it, though, and I think one of them that I didn't really think of right away, but is totally true, and you brought it up, is the discrimination. It would be so much easier to discriminate against someone because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're just putting male and female, then they're not really going to know unless you came for the interview a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. And also, again, yes, it does force people to embrace this, even though they might not consider themselves to be in that category, just so they can break with the gender norms instead of getting rid of the gender expression norms. You know, just being free to be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
My concern, and it's usually always my concern when it comes to these sort of things, is security issues. Mm-hmm. Mainly when it comes to people who are using it for nefarious actions. Same thing I described with the whole bathroom thing, even though this is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about describing someone for whatever reason, say this person is a criminal, or this person goes missing, or whatever, you know, and then they change their ID, or they change some descriptive element of themselves, making it harder. Mm-hmm. You know, again, it's you know, it's not going to be every case, but it's something that could be brought up and discussed, because I guarantee you this will be an issue at some point in time. So it needs to be looked at,
right?
In a way to kind of figure out how we deal with that if that came into being. You know, and that makes you think about. And this just came into my head. This is kind of unrelated, but it's related. What if someone was like about age? You know, if you wanted to do this about age, again, it's very different.
Yeah.
But you know, there are people who identify as 6-year-old girls, so. You know,
actually, it's happened. Remember in Europe where you have the migrants.
Oh yeah.
You had a whole bunch of migrants that obviously looked like they were 20, 25, something like that, identifying as 11 and 12-year-olds. And they were saying they're 11 and 12-year-olds, and the authorities accepted it. And now they're finding out, oh, no, they're not 11 and 12-year-olds. They're quite a bit older. In fact, like some were in their 30s. And they were living as little children because they were trying to migrate into Europe. What Amber brings up about the age thing, it's a little extreme, but you never know with all this. Let's change things about people. I don't know. It's a tricky minefield-filled thing, you know. It really is. So, you have anything more?
Oh, no, just like I said again, that age thing came out just really like on the spot when I was talking right then. It just came to me.
Yeah.
Because again, I mean, what if you want to be age fluid, or you have a different way of? Now, I'm not saying that, like, most people would be like, "Oh, come on, that's stupid. That's dumb to even think about it." But I mean, there are different. Well, you have a different culture that counts like your. I think I knew a girl in elementary who, in her culture, they counted when you are born, you're automatically a year old. So it messes up with the. Yeah, I don't know. That's what she said to us. I don't know. I think she was like. I think she was Vietnamese, so I don't really know how they do that, but she claimed that's how her culture looked at it. So I don't know. So
yeah,
you might get into like these fuzzy areas, but then you might even get into like, oh, well, I identify as this, age fluid, gender fluid. We can't really describe this person if we need to, you know, unless you have pictures or whatever. It can be kind of hard just when it comes to like those issues where you need to have a description that you know you can actually look for, or even to track a person down. So I don't know. Again, it's up in the air, but that's just my concern.
Okay. Yeah. So that's our input on it. Like I said, in the comments, go ahead and leave comments. You know, explain how you feel about it, and I don't want to come off as some bigot or something like that. You know, just make sure you understand that, because this is a tricky subject. That's all there is to it. Until next time, have a good day.